Next up, we have performance storyteller Vikram Sridhar. Vikram works with children, teens, and adults using various storytelling and creative techniques. And he does this to open up their mind. Now, Vikram is here to talk about volunteering and going on the journey from self towards selflessness. Vikram Sridhar, welcome to the International Kindness Festival 2021.
Hi, everybody. Hi, from wherever you are logging in, wherever you're sitting, lying down, munching, but watching this wonderful festival that's spanning over 3 days. I'm going to request all of you to, if you have questions, please put it in the question box and I can answer them in the end. My name is Vikram, and when I was born, not in the 90s, but in the 80s, in a place called Mad Rascal. Cut the word, it is Madras. And when I was born in Madras, I was born as the second to a sibling. And the first one was a boy, and every other lovely family, they thought it would be a girl. And before I was born, they even kept my name. And when they kept my name, they thought it would be a girl, and they wanted to keep it a very musical name because they thought this girl would come out as an artist. And after many such things, they gave the most complex name for the girl, which was Sangeeta. Yeah, very complex name. But today, when I go out, I have my idli vada dosa in Sangeeta restaurant. But that Sangeeta, we'll come to that story. And this little baby in the mummy's tummy was 5.5 kilos, and the 11th month of labor was giving umpteen trouble. So the mother wanted to let the child out and experience Sangeeta to the fullest. And 5.5 kilos, little bit over, was about 6 kilos by the time the baby came out, 11th month, and this was the time of Diwali in 1983. The baby came out with full sound effects. Wah, 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 wah. And the mother also gave sound effects like ah, and she turned her head to look at the baby. The baby was not Sangeeta. The baby, the baby was a boy. She turned her head the other side and started crying. She said, I want a Sangeeta after 11 months, this, that, and in that pain of labor, she went to sleep. And next came the most notorious part of my story. The notorious part of anybody who has a sibling. Correct. The brother. He came running and saying that, you told me baby sister, now it's a baby boy, please take him back. He was 4 years old, so he didn't know what is to take it back. Of course, can you take the baby back? And so the brother got disappointed. He went away. The father came, saw the baby. Okay. He said, okay, little. He didn't show his disappointment. He also went away. And next came the most important person in my story. The person who laid the foundation for me for the rest of my life. Correct. The person who gave me my name in the hospital. You know that person, right? Who comes and lifts the baby, and for every baby, they'll give you the same expression. Oh, Chiku, so sweet, so lovely, so yummy, you're looking. Why are you crying? No. Correct. Not the doctor. No. Doctors don't lift babies. Doctors have maintained their. It was a nurse. So the nurse lifted me up and took me by the cheek and said, Chacha, laddu you are. That laddu, no? That laddu only stuck for me for my life for a long time. But I'll come to the laddu later. And then the nurse asked my mother, what is the name you have chosen for this baby? My mother very nicely said, we thought Sangeeta, but we didn't have any name for a boy. And the nurse said, Madam, I have one name, madam. One Tucker name. Chennai, no, little bit of Tamil you have to add in the story. So Tucker, super name, madam, I have. And mother said, what is the name? You give whatever you want. And this nurse said, madam, this baby like one betal, madam, making everybody scream, cry, angry. You should call it baby betal. No, of course you can't call baby betal, no. So you should call the baby Vikram, or in Bangla, Bikram. So because it's Chennai, it became Vikram. And because the brother's name was also Vinod, so the baby had to have rhyming names. So I'm sure some of you have rhyming names with your sibling. So like that rhyming, I got my rhyming name as Vikram, kept by the nurse. Knowingly or unknowingly, after many years, today like the Betal, I tell stories, and the Vikram listens to everybody when he travels. And that's how I got my name. And I ventured into this world. And when I ventured into this world, remember that laddu stuck onto me for a long time. Yes, I was a laddu in my school time. And this laddu was, what word do you use? You use the word plump, you can use the word heavy, you can use the word bubbly mass. Yeah. And this bubbly mass is an English word, but in a lot of context in South India, it sounds like a Telugu word, Tamil word. Bubbly mass, mari irke. Yeah. And everybody will come and pull your cheek, will come and spank you on the back. And you think it's a pride, but only later you realize that they thought you were triple XL size. And I went to school. And many times, even in school, when I used to go, and because you have a sibling who's a brother, I used to wear the shirt and the pant of my brother, shorts of my brother. And because he was medium size, I was triple XL size. You know what happened to the shorts when you wear it? Yeah, yeah, all those malfunctions happened. And this bubbly mass, laddu baby, somewhere got frustrated or irritated. And this bubbly mass little one was born in a family which never spoke English. My parents never went to school. They went to a Tamil medium school and they didn't finish school. They one of them was a 6th standard dropout, one was an 8th standard dropout, and which means I theoretically was a first generation school goer. And well, whereas the school I went to, everybody spoke English, everybody spoke Tamil, some even spoke Hindi. And what do I do in between them? Try to understand English. In that, also try to understand. And when I speak Tamil, they say, no, 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 no. You can't speak Tamil in the school. And with that, I can't even express. And sometimes this bubbly mass, what do the bubbly mass do when you can't express as a little one? You tend to get into power. And you say power, and sometimes when somebody looks at you and says, Dhamma, I've done that. I've taken a pencil and gone not to write, but to poke at people. And that much of frustration that I had for myself. And I didn't know the word bullying that time. I didn't know the word mental health that time. I'm talking about 30 years, 20 plus years back when vocabulary was not as loud as today. And every time I did that, when you don't get words, I stammered. And many times we don't stammer because we don't have a problem physically. It's because of our response state. It's because the other side, and that time I didn't know that maybe the other side was actually feeling inferior and they have a problem. And this happened quite some time. I remember in school, till one time that the school took me we went on an excursion. Remember this time that in school they'll tell you tomorrow we're going on a picnic, but this was not a picnic, but this was a time that they took us to a hospital. And they took us to a little terminally ill children's hospital, which was an institute for cancer. And when I went and sat there, I started just smiling at the children. I didn't know what was talking, and they, in their own language, they started touching me. And I saw them smiling. I said, wow, somebody's smiling at me. And I realized that, and I asked, the mothers and fathers said, this child has never laughed a long time back, for a very long time. And I started making a little bit of buffoon faces. I used to, I started taking out a paper and drawing something and telling them, and that is how you make paper balls. And then one I spent, I realized that something was changing in me. Well, that time, again, I don't know words, but I loved doing that. So when I came back to school, I asked the teacher, can we do this every day, ma'am? And the teacher said, what are you talking? We just went there for a visit. Who will go there every day? And that hid in me for a very long time. And from there, I changed track, and over the time, I started finding relationship with dogs. The little puppies, little dogs in my street that I used to talk to when I used to go to school. And many times when there was anger in me, when there was frustration in me, I used to come back and talk to that one dog which is always in front of my house. This was in an area called T Nagar in Chennai. And this dog used to come from my school till the house and then walk back. You can call it names. I can call it Vinny, Venky, Vicky, whatever name, but the dog will come with me. And that led me to understand maybe I should do more of this. And I started work going to centers. I mean, I started asking many people, and some. This is, I think, class 4 or 5. I didn't know the word volunteering. I just said, "Can I go and teach children?" When I say children, at that time I'm talking about kindergarten, first standard. And they say, "Yeah, yeah, 3 seats down the line, there is a center where financially weaker section children come for area library. You can just put there." So I told my parents that I'm just going out for a walk, and every week, I think so Thursday or Friday, I used to go there and teach the children something to do with alphabet, sometimes max, basic max, like 1, 2, 3, 4. And I used to come back home. And when I came back home, and they asked, "Where did you go?" I said, "I'd gone for a walk." And but something was happening to me. And that time I didn't realize that was what was called volunteering. When you don't expect any return, when you don't expect returns in the way that we calculate today, but just do it so that you give yourself to it. I gave myself to that for more than 4 years. Every Friday, I had to go to that center and teach them English, writing, sketching. And after that, when I went to college, my engineering, every Sunday, I started going to a center called Blue Cross, which is this rescue center for dogs in Chennai, in Velachery. And I used to do everything in that center. Every Sunday, the ayahs would know they're going to come at 10 o'clock because the bus from T Nagar to Velachery would leave at 9 o'clock. I think it was about 50 paisa, 1 rupee that time. I used to get down and walk there, finish, come back home absolutely dirty, have a hot water bath, and then continue my work at home. And that I realized if that didn't happen, I would have been the most real notorious person. I would have even killed some of my friends. That pencil in my hand, I would have poked in somebody. But that every week that I used to go, and that volunteering ranged from children to senior citizens to cleaning, sometimes even the school or spaces. I've done everything in a way that I just did it. And sometimes it was tiring, but even to get tired was so important. And that tiredness helped me to recover. And that tiredness helped me to connect and not hurt myself to a point when I start hurting somebody else. Because I remember I was called by the principal once. My parents, and then they were warned that this child is hurting somebody in with a pencil because well, this was not a time of psychiatrists counseling, and to a lot of extent that used. And by the time I entered college, I entered my undergrad and postgrad. I realized that what I have done subconsciously in the term of volunteering was nothing but healing my own self. I was healing my own self. I was healing myself from hurting somebody. I was healing myself from hurting many people in their life. And that volunteering in terms of physical and mental, working with children who are half my age, teaching them whatever little I knew, that laddu papli mass over time today has grown at least by healing my own self. And that time, the therapy I get now, just spending time cleaning the library of a local corporation center. They were old books. I think was Pondi Bazar Library. I used to go there, and the librarian will say, "Just clean that rack," and I've done that. But yes, sometimes I did take away one books. Don't tell this to anybody. But just the joy of doing that and seeing the change of the clean space. So varied volunteering that has happened. And later I volunteered for animal senses, tiger senses. I volunteered to teach children stories. I mean, for a long time before I became a professional storyteller, I used to volunteer telling stories to differently able children so that their motor skills get better. And many things. When I say volunteering, it just means without any expectation, just go there and do that. And many times I've done it in one spaces, and many times I've done it for a longer engagement. But every time I have realize that there is something in me that is feeling lighter. There is something in me which, because we sometimes use the word, I'm getting bored. I don't know what to do. I think I know I'm good at something. For all these words, I will definitely tell you that volunteering in anything that you like. If you like animals, go and volunteer in animal shelter. If you like children, go and work with children. If you want to work with arts, use arts to go and volunteer. And I use stories to volunteer with children. What I used to volunteer then, today, I do that not for a living, but that's all I do. I only tell stories. If somebody says, "Is this your profession?" No, this is me. When you do something you like, is there a word called profession, work, life, balance? Today, what little I did today connects the dot as stories. And I repeat, if you have any questions, do type in. I'm more than willing to answer. And the workshop where I go deeper into stories and storytelling, I can tell you how stories are a great way to volunteer with children, and how storytelling can be a great way for us to work with children and volunteer. And with that, I'm going to pause by saying that if at all you have time and you say you're getting bored, just go and volunteer. You'll find the magic of that. If not now, but definitely at some point of your life.
Or Vikram, question for you. How does a professional storyteller earn a living?
Just like how a professional stand-up comedian earns. Stand-up comedian does shows, so a storyteller does shows. Like a singer and a dancer perform. So I am a performance storyteller, and there are many forms of storytelling. There is educational storytelling, there is corporate storytelling. What I practice is performance. So I perform to audiences like a singer, like a kacheri, like a stand-up. My audience would vary from a child to any age. So I've done work with 1-year-old child, and as much as 1 hour before this, I was giving a performance to 60 plus old silver surfers. So that's how storytelling works.
What about yourself have you learned through the process of volunteering? Did it help you to learn anything about yourself that you previously didn't know existed?
It helped me to say that don't, you don't have to wait for others to tell you're good at something. You just have to do things which you like to do. The moment if you don't never do things which people tell you're good at, always do things that you like, and tomorrow you'll get better at it.
And what if people feel I don't have the time to volunteer? I don't know enough to volunteer. What kind of skill will I volunteer? I don't know what to do. What's your advice to them?
So when somebody says they're busy, they're lying to themselves. We will find the time if we're really serious with that. And what the skill and thing, I'm sure there is definitely something that we like to do. We might like sketching or dancing or singing. Do that. If you like to do Bhangra, just go and volunteer teaching Bhangra. And there will be nothing else. I'm sure we learned ABCD. Go and teach ABCD or learn a vernacular. Today, people don't even speak a vernacular. So maybe just go and teach a vernacular. There is definitely, if you can, what we think we don't value, somebody else values it with us.
Who are your idols? Who do you look up to?
Everybody and nobody. Because everybody has something to offer, and don't trust anybody because nobody is here to teach you. They're only living their own life.
So be inspired by everybody and be inspired by nobody. All right, Vikram, thank you very much for that illuminating talk on both storytelling and about the joys of volunteering. I hope this inspires a lot of people, both young and old, in our audience.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.